there, nerds! Welcome to the video. My name is Cam, and I'm here to talk to you about My Hero Academia collectible card game today. It is one of the most fun CCGs out there right now. In this awesome CCG, not only do you get to duel your friends, but you get to do so while channeling your favorite characters from the hit anime My Hero Academia. You do need to win 2 out of 3 games to claim the crown and consider yourself the victor and rub it in your friends' faces. We'll be touching on how to play on this video. If you want to dig a little deeper into the rules, I do suggest you go into www.mhacardgame.com and read the rules there for yourself. Now, let's set the stage for an epic battle, shall we? Each player gets their own play area, a strategic battlefield made of multiple game zones. You'll place your characters and deck in the appropriate game zone. Your character, your chosen hero or villain, stays at the front line, ready for action. Momentum is your power bank, where you store successful attacks for later. The card pool is your tactical area, where you play your cards each turn. The stage is your ongoing battleground, where you keep played cards that remain in play. Your deck is your arsenal, where you draw your cards from. And your discard pile is the graveyard for cards no longer in the game. Please note, there is no specific zone for removed cards, but keeping them in a pile faced up and off to the side, that's a good way to make sure you don't use the card again. Now it's time to kick off the game. Decide who's going first. You can flip a coin, you can roll a die, you can rock, paper, scissors, you can just say I'm going first. It doesn't matter how you choose who's going first, as long as someone goes. So let's talk about the 3 types of cards that you're going to have in your deck. You're going to have character cards, foundation cards, and attack cards. Each of these cards they have shared features that you really need to make sure you understand so you can play them correctly. First up, we have the difficulty. This number reflects just how hard it is to play the card. Next, we have the card name. Pretty self-explanatory, just tells you the name of the card. Third, we have the block value. This is your line of defense, folks. The block value is what prevents your rival's attacks from dealing damage. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. Moving on, we have our card type. That's probably not right there. The icon on the card, it identifies whether it's a character or attack or foundation, so it'll say it right here. Then we have the text box right here. This is the hub of action on your card. It tells you any keywords or any special abilities that are unique to the card. Everything will be found right here. Every card also has 3 symbols. These aren't used in the heat of battle, but they're crucial for deck building. Consider this a little teaser for advanced playing, but these are your 3 your slots for symbols right here. Finally, we have the check value. This number determines the cards, but this is the number that you're going to use when you're trying to check with their difficulty up here in the card pool. Cool, so we have 3 different types of cards that do different things. But what exactly do they do? Well, let's go over them right now. Let's start with foundations. These great cards are like secret weapons, expanding a character's ability. Most foundation cards might seem quiet at first. They don't usually have an effect on their first turn, but just wait until their following turns. They provide you access to more abilities and the chance to play more cards than you'd typically be able to. While foundations are in your hand, they may be used for blocking, but they have to have the blocking symbol on them. When a foundation, like passing the torch, is in the stage, its abilities can be used. Foundations serve as the main way to mitigate luck during a game. This process is called committing. You commit a foundation by turning it 90 degrees, and any non-committed cards are considered ready. Moving on to attacks. The number in this icon represents the speed of your attack. The color of the arrow, either red, orange, or yellow, they indicate the zones of your attack. The other number represents the base damage that your card will deal if it's unblocked. Some are traits, which are referenced by other cards only, and then some are highlighted. This signifies that the keyword is shorthand for an ability. It's time to talk about actions, assets, and turn sequence. Actions represent special events or abilities that can be absolute game changers. You play these abilities from your hand and you can use them anytime a similar ability can be used. Actions will either stay in your card pool after they're played, or they'll be discarded if the check to play them is failed. Next, we have assets. Those are the green cards that can represent anything from tools to allies to even special locations that give you, a leg up in battle. Assets are similar to foundations, but unlike foundations, they cannot be committed to pass checks. Now, let's talk about the turn sequence. Your turn is split into 3 different phases. You have the start phase, combat, and the end phase. Remember, the first player skips their first start phase on their first turn. Now, the start phase does have 3 steps. The draw step, it has the review step, and it has the ready step. In the ready step, you place all your cards ready to go on the stage. On the review step, you go through your cards and decide if you want to discard up to 1 card prior to your draw step. Move on right over to the draw step and draw up to your character's hand size. This is actually one of the things that I really like about this CCG. It's immersive because it's not just about playing the cards, having OP cards, and just taking everybody down with it. It's all about your strategy and how you put them into play. That brings us to the combat phase. During your combat phase, you have a ton of options. You play an attack, you can play a foundation, an asset, or a character card, but with caution. If you fail to play one of these card types during your turn, you immediately move to the end phase, and you can't do anything else. You can also form abilities on cards in your stage, or action cards in your hand. And just like before, if you fail to play a form ability or an action card during your turn, you immediately move over to the end phase. Here's a tip. At any point, except during an attack sequence, you can pass and end your combat phase. Next, we come to the process of clearing card pools to end your turn. Here's how it works. The player whose turn it is clears their card pool first. You do this by going from right to left. You build any foundations or assets played during your turn to your stage. Any characters you play during your turn also go to your stage and are attached to your starting character. Any of your attacks that dealt damage can be added to your momentum. All other cards are discarded. Now, here comes the most crucial part in this game. That is mastering the progressive difficulty. This is how you can play as many cards as possible. You start with the printed difficulty on the card, right here, on the top left of the card. Then you add your progressive difficulty to determine the total difficulty. You can find the progressive difficulty by counting each card in the card pool. Once you know the total difficulty, you make a check. The next lesson is a real game changer. Let's start with the basics. You've got a card you want to play, say passing the torch. The total difficulty to play this card is a 2. That's your printed difficulty. Plus your progressive difficulty, which in this case is 0. So you need to check a 2 or greater in order to pass. To make this check, you'll discard the top card of your deck. The check value is the blue number in the bottom right corner. If this blue number is equal or greater than your total difficulty, congratulations, you have successfully passed a check. But beware. Another thing to keep in mind is that when your deck runs out of cards, sure, you'll shuffle your discard pile right back into your deck and create a new deck. And then you remove the top 10 cards of your new deck from the game. If you ever run out of cards after that point, after that second shuffle, now let's take a look at a slightly more complex scenario. Imagine you're trying to play a second copy of Bonds of Friendship on 4 difficulty. Your total difficulty is 4. That's your printed difficulty of 1, plus a progressive difficulty of 3. But, you checked a Delaware Smash with a check of only 3. Don't panic just yet, because you can actually commit any number of foundations that you have to help you pass a check. Each card committed this way will add +1 to your check. So if you need a 4 and you've checked a 3, you can commit 1 card to add +1 to your check, totaling 4 and passing the check successfully. But if you fail to play a card, the card you try to play will go to the discard pile. To block an attack, first you need to determine the total block difficulty. And this is calculated by adding your rival's speed, your block's modifier, and your progressive difficulty. Now, make a check against that total difficulty. If you successfully pass this check, the amount of damage you take will be reduced, depending on the zone of the attack in the zone of your block. Here's a crucial point. When you block an attack, if your block zone completely matches the zone of attack, you won't take any damage. However, if you choose not to block or you fail to block an attack, you'll lose health equal to the total damage of the attack card. Blocking an attack with an adjacent block zone means you'll take half damage. Round it up. Some of your card abilities will require momentum as a cost for their effect. There are some effects that will earn you momentum, but the main way to gain momentum is by dealing damage with your attacks. During the end phase of each turn, each player may add their attacks that dealt damage to their momentum. And there you have it, folks. Special thanks to Jasco Games for providing us with all these wonderful cards for reviewing purposes. We really did enjoy playing the game. It's a lot of fun, and it's a new hobby now. If you liked what you just watched, please let us know with a thumbs up and by hitting that subscribe button. Well, thank you so much for watching and for all your support, and we will see you on our next video. Thanks, nerds!